She just recently recovered from her third ACL tear in her 30s and just finished a hike that took you how many hours?
It was like 2 weeks straight.
Uh-huh.
Over 100 miles to Everest Base Camp at like 17,000 feet. My knee felt great. Like other people's knees were hurting more. And I was like, yes, we did it.
Who were you proving that to?
Me. For sure. I committed to it like 2 months after my surgery.
So do you like to push yourself or
No.
not?
You got that from all this? I've learned to like being uncomfortable when something is hard. I'm gonna learn something from it and learn something about myself.
Where do you think that comes from?
At times would have that type of obsessive addictive personality. Be like jumping rope in my room at like 10 p.m. and then like dribbling around the driveway and like doing all these drills. I tore my ACL and so I missed my senior year. You can't control what happened, and being on the sidelines was hard. Looking back, like kind of feel like a shitty teammate about it. Devastated and heartbroken. And I wasn't like the most vocal person or just like, you know, giving like speeches
that
and stuff.
wasn't your
and like
natural.
No. I forget what the question was originally.
Are you an athlete?
Yeah. Duh.
No questions asked.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Always have been.
I think so.
Always will be.
Yeah.
Do and or did you ever have a time where you think that maybe you wouldn't have said yes that quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably like, you know, right after college and that transition that we're, you know,
So
what's bringing us
fascinating
all
that
here.
that was right when I met you.
Yep. I mean, I think I've always like, you know, being an athlete growing up instilled that in me. And, you know, I feel like I've been able to kind of shift what that means, or I guess like how I'm expressing that in my life. Like I played soccer and, you know, kind of what being an athlete looks like has been a lot different. But I think finding other outlets has been helpful for that transition for sure.
Collegiate soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
Played Division III.
Yep.
What other sports did you play growing up? Was it always soccer? Just soccer? Or what'd you kind of start with?
Soccer was the main one. I mean, like growing up when I was like 4, I did like dance and ballet and, you know, whatever, which was like, can you imagine me doing ballet right now? No.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was mainly soccer. I did some track, like track and field in middle school and freshman year. But I don't know. I feel like how old was I in 1999? It was the U.S. Women's National Team when they won. And like I was Brandi Chastain for Halloween for like 3 years in a row.
So well. That fits so well. And being from Northern California.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. I'm like, she's a defender. She's blonde. I want to be her.
Yep.
So I think, I mean, soccer, I don't know. It just like stands out. I don't like identify with really doing anything else. I guess I dabbled in like some tennis and basketball, but like it was never very significant.
Yeah.
And I guess I I started playing kind of, you know, rec when I was like 6.
Yeah.
And then did that for 2 years and then went to trying out to like the, I guess, 3rd division of like our club. Went on to the A team when I was 9 and then like stayed on the team until I was 18. Yeah. So that like very quickly became really all of my like activities outside of school. Like I did other things, but as far as like sports go, like that was what was taking up most of my time.
Did you play any of the other ones in high school, or it was just soccer by the time you were in high school?
I did track freshman year, like very little, the minimum that they wanted me to race, and they wanted me to race more. I'm like, sorry.
And I said no.
So then I just didn't have time to keep doing it.
Yeah. Do you have memories back to 8-year-old Jen making the C team?
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't really know what I didn't like see myself as like being very good. I don't know. Like, I mean, even
that was kind of your first time ever trying out.
Like I had played for like 2 years before this.
Okay.
And I mean, I was like, oh, like, I think my parents were like, oh, like, you know, maybe there's something in her. Like she likes this. And,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I was really happy when I made it, and I like wasn't really expecting to, or like, you know, if I didn't make it, I don't think I would have been like really down on myself. And I remember like then the next year, like trying out again, same thing. Like, I wasn't really expecting to make the A team, and
Yeah.
I was very tall and like definitely like one of
Fair.
the bigger girls, like
Yeah.
when I was 9. And
Yeah.
so I was like center back and just would, take people out a little bit.
I like that. I would have liked you as a center back in
Yeah.
front of me. So, little kid Jen, she's playing soccer. She's crushing it. She's on the A team. Did you always know you wanted to play in college, or what was that transition for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think like it was very much in my surroundings with like, our club in general was very good. Like, we were nationally ranked, like our team, but then like the teams older than me, like I would see all of them going and like getting scholarships and going to play in college. And so I think it was like instilled in me that was kind of the trajectory of things. I think, like when I was a kid, I was like, I want to like be on the national team and be Brandy Chastain. And like I wanted it. And that definitely like dictated where I chose to go to school. I think I had seen so many of my girls on older teams that would go and get a scholarship and they'd play for a year at a D1 school and then they would hate it, or like they wouldn't play, and they're like used to being on a really good team and not playing, and they would quit after a year. And I was like, I don't want that to happen. And they'd like be stuck somewhere that they hated just because they got a scholarship and committed when they were like a sophomore. I'm like, how can you know that? And so I think I really wanted it to continue to be a part of my life, but I knew that I probably could have played D1, like not at a top D1 school, but like I didn't want to be stuck in that position of being somewhere that I didn't like the school, or like, what I wanted to do with my life wasn't going to match up with where I went to school, or be stuck just not playing, or like on a losing team, because that sucks. So that's kind of when I started looking at D2, D3 options, because, just the balance of it was better, and like, still super competitive, and you have a really great experience, and you're getting just as much out of it, but like a more well-rounded college experience.
And your teammates want to be there
for
playing
sure.
the sport.
Yeah.
None of them are just toughing it out to keep their scholarships or things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating hearing you say that, because at the time, I don't know that I could have put my finger on it, but looking back and reflecting, I had multiple older teammates, especially about 2 classes ahead of me, and multiple of them went D1.
Yeah.
And by the time I was then entering, they were going into junior year, I was going into freshman year of college, and, kind of making my decisions during my high school, junior, senior year. And multiple of them did not play all 4 years at their D1 schools.
Right.
And at the time, obviously, I knew that information. Some of them hadn't necessarily stopped playing yet and things, but even just seeing them in the summers or, reconnecting, I would hear them talk about that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, in my situation, it wasn't a D1 or versus D3 in basketball. Mine would have been more of could have had the opportunity to play D1 in soccer. Or play D3 in basketball.
Yeah.
And I chose basketball because I knew that I just knew I would enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Just for me personally. And I think, too, for youth parents and youth coaches and things like that, when you're in the grind, everything is scholarship, try to get that, athletic scholarship, which, yes.
Yeah.
And for a lot of D1 players, it's fantastic. And that's exactly what they should do. My brother played D1 baseball. That's great for a lot of people. But also, if, like you said, you're in a situation of, okay, do I go to a smaller D1 school or do I go to a D1 school that I'm not going to play at?
Right.
Or do I go D3? There's so much competition, and it is still – you get so much out of being a D3 athlete too. And I don't think, everyone hears about the kids signing in high school, and there's this, senior year signing party and stuff. And then the kids go off to school, and it's never really talked about whether or not they played all 4 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's like, when you grow up being really competitive and like traveling, and you want to be the best, and like you're striving for perfection, and it's like, okay, what is then like the top next level that I can go to? And I think that's, I guess on my team there were like one or two other girls that went D3. So it like wasn't really common.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
But yeah, it was like more of those situations of people quitting. And I'm like, I wouldn't want like my career to end that way. That doesn't really feel like on your terms in a way. And a lot of times it isn't. I wanted to play all 4 years because I wasn't going to quit.
Yeah.
For that. Like,
You're like, I'm not going to quit regardless, so I need to make sure I like what I'm entering
exactly.
into. So, speaking of transitions of one to another, you then went to WashU in St. Louis and played soccer there.
Yep.
And had a great career.
Yeah, I did.
Then I met you.
Yep.
After that, also at WashU in St. Louis.
Right.
Because we were PT school classmates.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that transition because you stayed at the same school.
Yeah.
For undergrad going into the School of Medicine, but WashU for physical therapy.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't necessarily like planned that way, I guess. It just kind of happened with where I got in for PT school. And
we were fortunate to go to a very strong PT
school.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. So again, it's like,
right.
Yeah,
it's
when
like,
you get that opportunity,
you take it.
You take it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was very, I don't know, I guess the transition from undergrad to grad school. So, yeah, I played 3 years. I got hurt my end of my junior year. And so I missed my senior year. This is my second injury because I got hurt, same thing in high school, senior year. So I think when talking about like, you know, quitting your career on your terms, that was obviously like not in the plan. And I was kind of at a point of, you know, then going to WashU for PT, I potentially had another year of eligibility. I could have played again. And I think, I don't know, at the time I was thinking maybe that's an option. But like, honestly, like senior year was like very challenging. I felt like I kind of had to like grieve my time as an athlete during that time, like while during the season, while like we're doing very well. And I was, you know, it was great. Like I wanted to support my teammates, but I'm like, this kind of sucks that we're like having a really good season and I'm not a part of it. And I think just like the way that I, you know, showed up as a teammate was very much like on the field. And, you know, that's kind of how I like set examples.
You led by example.
Exactly. So that in itself was a transition too of like, how am I still involved and just in a different way. So I think I chose not to like continue to play just because I was like, you know, I think this is just the close of this chapter and I want to like move on to, you know, focusing on physical therapy school and yeah.
Let me just say, Jen didn't talk about that at the time because none of us knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I don't think I've thought about it since for sure. But like at the time I was just like, you know, this happened. I'm kind of over it. And I'm just like here ready to focus on the next thing. And that's just, you know, you're thrown into grad school and it's like, you're super busy and you don't really have time to like, I don't think I would have had time to be.
Compartmentalization.
Yes.
Compartmentalization. Yeah. Holy cow. So, junior year of high school, you did what?
Well, I guess it was like
going into your senior year.
It was my like fall of my senior year. And I had already like kind of committed to WashU in the sense of like, I'm applying early decision.
Yeah.
And if I get in, then I'll be on the team. So I tore my ACL it was like in October, and then I had surgery in December. And so then that was kind of just like, okay, the end of club because, you know, I wasn't going to go back and play in the spring. Just like the timeline of recovering from this is like, okay, I'm just focusing on going to college and like being prepared for that.
Yeah. So you were a young initial ACL tear.
Yeah, I guess I was 17, barely.
I know it happens younger than that now, but that's young.
Yeah.
You know, that's early to have your first tear. And then what happened?
Well, then recovered from that, then went to school, and then did it again. Junior year. It was in our spring game, junior year, when like D3 you're allowed one spring game, literally the last 2 minutes of the game.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God. So, and like, I knew that it happened because like I'd already done it before and like I got hit this time. The first time I was just like running around and like made a cut on my own and fell down. And I was like, that was weird.
Yeah.
And then this time I was like, well, I know what that is and what that means. So
same knee, different knee.
It was the other knee.
You almost had your, you thought you were going to have another year of playing your sport that you've spent all these years practicing for. And then it got more or less pulled out from under you.
Yeah.
Right before season.
Mm-hmm.
So then you knew for sure it's not like you were going to make it back for the end of season.
Right.
Where was your head at? If you're years out from your last game and something still feels off, you're not alone. Most retired athletes don't even realize that they're carrying the weight of an identity loss they never processed. We designed a breathwork experience specifically for retired athletes that helps you release what's been sitting in your body since you stopped competing. The emotions you were taught to push down, the doubt, the disconnect. This breathwork is completely virtual and takes less than an hour. I've done breathwork with this facilitator over 100 times, and I promise you, every single session hits different. I used to think breathwork was woo-woo, and now it's a non-negotiable part of my routine. Lifetime access, one purchase. Grab the discount in the description. It got more or less pulled out from under you.
Yeah.
Right before season.
Mm-hmm.
So then you knew for sure it's not like you were going to make it back for the end of season.
Right.
Where was your head at?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I was like devastated and heartbroken and just like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really know. Like, yeah, I wanted to, I guess this time, like, I didn't have like that goal afterwards of like the first time. Yeah, like I knew I was preparing to then go play in college and like be strong and ready for that. Yep. This time it was like that motivation wasn't there. It was like only the motivation to like, can I be active and healthy for the rest of my life? So I think that just like brought me out of sports into, okay, like what do I want the rest of my life to look like? And like having to focus on that sooner than I expected to.
Yeah. So when did you have to decide on whether or not you were going to use your fifth year? Was it like you heard back from WashU for PT school and then you realized that was an option to consider? Or was it while you were kind of rehabbing?
It wasn't until like the end of the season, like April.
Really?
April is when I heard back from WashU.
Right.
Of like, okay, you got in. And then it was like I got in and I was like, oh, like this is an option that I never even like considered. Or like had as a possibility. So I think like mentally I wasn't there to want to do that. Yeah, that's why I didn't, just because I think through that whole process, so like I had surgery in May and then we had the season in the fall. During that whole time of rehabbing and like going through the season, like that's kind of where I felt like I kind of went through the process of like accepting it. And like I felt like by that next spring, like I had accepted it. Okay, we're done. Next step, I have focusing on school and everything else beyond soccer.
Yeah. What types of things did you do during that period of time to help you accept it?
I mean, I think like rehab, I love it. That's why I'm a PT, obviously.
I love it.
The first time rehabbing my knee, like I just, I fell in love with it. Like I kind of found purpose in that again because, I think the way that I trained and like worked hard to like keep my spot on the team and like, I had to work hard to keep that, like harder, I feel like, than a lot of my teammates did just growing up. And so that was just kind of the way that I improved and just like became like addicted to that process. And so I found I was able to apply that into PT of, okay, this is now my job. This is like, I got to be better than I was, last week or, pushing myself in a way that I didn't really expect. And my PT experience was great. And like, I was pushed really hard and I wasn't expecting to like get my ass kicked. And it was great. And like, I loved it. So I think like kind of having that experience already, I kind of knew that like, okay, like I know I can come back from this. And like that, I focused on that and knowing kind of what little steps of progress to pay attention to like keep me going.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of what I guess I focused on. And then I knew kind of through this experience, I was kind of debating of like, okay, like what do I want to do for my career? Like PT was definitely in my mind from like the first time.
Yeah.
But I was debating, you know, do I go to med school? Do I like pursue other healthcare options? And I kind of took this time as a sign of like, no, you got to go be a PT just because of how much I felt like that impacted me. So then, my focus even during the season was like, okay, like get this better. How am I going to make PT school happen? Like I'd kind of made that decision over the summer, and then it was like applying and that whole process. And
yeah, absolutely. And then just to finish my storyline, what'd you do last year?
I tore my ACL again. Don't worry, I wasn't done. I'm done now.
Yes, you are. But you also freaking crushed it again.
Yeah. I mean, it was the first one that I tore back in high school. So it was like the graft that tore that was from a cadaver. So like, yeah, whatever. But
we won't go into the PT specifics of that and how we feel, but hit us up on a different podcast for that.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely a lot different being an adult and working and having a business and just a lot older now than I was then. But I think, you know, I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew what the rehab had to be, having like being a PT now and like having more knowledge was definitely helpful.
Yeah. You're freaking crushing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm back doing everything that I want to be doing, and that's all I can ask for.
She did it, people. Not something anyone wants to have to go through once, let alone 3 times.
Yep.
But here you are.
Yeah.
Still an athlete. Still crushing it. How did you tear it this most recent time? I know this answer.
Yeah, skiing.
Yeah.
Which is all, like, I know it's a risk, and like I didn't ski for so long just for being paranoid of hurting myself again. And then I was like, all right, I'm over it. Like, it's great. I'm in Colorado. Everything's awesome. And
you're like, I'm so ready.
I'm so ready
to challenge myself in a new way. Fuck. Well, damn.
Yeah, kind of like brought me back down to earth there for a minute.
That's fair. Thinking back on it, where was your brain space? You talked about it a little bit already, where it was kind of like, all right, I'm not going to play my 5th year. So I better get myself ready for school, better get myself ready for kind of this next stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think like I guess like sport team aspect of it, that's kind of like what I feel like I grieved like during like my senior year. I do feel like I like got to that point of like acceptance of it. But I feel like the part that like, and I think why like I'm so quick to say that like I'm still an athlete, it's like, it's just like the mindset and the process of the things that you go through, I feel like applies to so many things, you know, in other sports or like being active, but just like, you know, the way that we approach life and our career. And I feel like, you know, having that foundation, I felt like I was still able to use that in school.
Yeah.
To where, yeah, I mean, I think it was a hard transition, but I don't feel like I don't know. I feel like going into it, I guess it was just like that last year that I accepted it. I think what I've learned from soccer and like growing up playing and being an athlete, how much like I love to move and like how much like fitness and like being active is important. Like that's the thing that I have taken with me the most of like how much like I'm my best self when I'm moving and exercising. And I think it's then like finding a way of kind of competing with myself, not in like a negative way or like being hard on yourself way, which like I've definitely been that for sure. Hopefully not as much anymore, working on it. But just kind of focusing more on me and how I can improve and like in these different like outlets of, I've always like, I ran track, but I was one of the crazy ones that loved the fitness at the end of soccer practice.
Jen was that freaking teammate that liked the conditioning at the end of practice.
Like I was never like the fastest, but like I had the endurance and I was good at it. And so it was fun.
Jen's like, I will outrun you because I can last longer.
Right. I learned that about myself, and just that I needed to like burn off my energy to like, you know, be a sane human.
Yeah.
Through PT school, like I continued to run, and like, you know, I kind of had the foundations of what it means to like have to take care of your body for the future from my injuries, and continue to like strength train. And so I think through getting injured, was forced to find other outlets and like learn about myself in that way. Much as it sucked, like it gave me tools to, I think, make that transition more, because I had it taken away from me twice. And so I was like, okay, I've kind of learned how to go through this in a way to know how to cope and, you know, see myself as more than, you know, just a soccer player.
Yeah. I'm playing the whole comparison game because you and I are very similar humans to each other, but also in those ways had very different transitions. And hearing you talk about this now, absolutely, having gone through that even just once, especially going through that transition twice of the, oh, yeah, that was almost pulled out from under me. Yeah. Nope, I'm going to rehab myself back. I'm going to, you know, you had to work on something solo.
Yeah.
To improve yourself to even get back out on the field.
Right.
That piece of when I transitioned out of college and into PT school, I had only ever played team sports. I never had, you know, a big significant injury like that. I never had to take time. I never had to do that. So other than, you know, following along whatever the lift was in the summer, you know, just before you go back to school, I did not have or have to develop those skills of training on my own, of, you know, kind of putting those pieces together.
Yeah.
I ran because we were at practice and we were running for something else, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think from injuries and just like the way that I trained, there was a lot of it that I was doing on my own. You know, that's kind of what I took with me. And like that wasn't going to go away even when soccer ended.
Yeah. In my brain and my memories of you in PT school was, oh, wow, yeah, she's still totally doing all the things that she did as a collegiate athlete.
Yeah.
Again, thinking back at the time, I remember thinking in my brain, why aren't you doing it? Oh, Jen's doing it. Jen's finding a way to do it. Why are you not doing it? Again, all right, maybe that's good comparison. Maybe it's bad comparison. It obviously didn't make me develop those habits any earlier in life. So I think it was more of a self-sabotage comparison moment. It's just really interesting even hearing you talk about it from the injury perspective of what that did kind of bring you.
Yeah.
And you knew that even probably to get through the mental side of it.
Yeah.
Right? You had already had 2 devastating injuries that you had come back from.
Right.
That you had to kind of deal with completely changing your plans for what both of your senior years looked like.
Right.
You know, and the resiliency that does bring, whether you want it to or not, is definitely a skill set and building a skill set.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was like focusing on the rehab process was what I could control in that situation. Yeah. It's like, you can't control what happened and that you're going to miss your senior year and all that. And I'm like, okay, well, I know that I have to get this knee range of motion. I have to build up my quad. Like, I got to do all these things, and going through the process and loving it because I would see myself improve. And like, that's kind of what I loved about, I guess within soccer too, of, you know, the practicing and stuff that I did on my own to be able to like stay on the team, get a starting spot. And because I would see what happened if I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because then I would risk losing it. And I didn't want that. My parents know. Like I'd be like jumping rope in my room at like 10 p.m. and then like dribbling around the driveway and like doing all these drills. And that's kind of what I had control over.
Yep. It's in you.
Yeah.
You controlled what you could and dealt with the parts that you couldn't.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. As athletes, we're taught to compartmentalize everything. Push it down. Stay focused. Win. But that doesn't always serve us as adults. So we designed a breathwork experience specifically for retired athletes. It isn't talk therapy. It's a somatic release that helps you process a decade of suppressed emotions in one powerful session. It's completely virtual and takes less than an hour. Grab your discount code in the description. But also sounds like you were kind of obsessed with getting better at all times, you know? It is. And I think too, you know, I think because I can like think of friends and people in my life in the past where it's like, yeah, I would kind of describe them as obsessive, you know? And I think a lot of times that gets a bad connotation, but also it can bring about good things. Well,
yeah.
As long as it's kind of, you know.
It's in a like healthy balance. Where, there's been times where it's like has not been in a healthy balance.
For you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But
when are those times?
I mean, I think not so much anymore. I don't know. I guess like during like growing in soccer and just like more within the team competitive aspect of like needing to keep my spot kind of approach. And, you know, I think I think I definitely do like at times would have that type of obsessive addictive personality. But I think I've been able to kind of pull myself from like too much perfectionism, I guess, in ways, which I don't know why, but.
Yeah. Do you feel like this is a newer thing that you've gotten better at working away from the perfectionism? Or do you think that you kind of handled that earlier in your life?
I don't know. I haven't think a lot about this one.
That's okay. Hey, that's what we're here for. Welcome to No Former Athlete.
I mean, I think I've like, it's a newer thing of like, I guess like being aware, knowing when it's out of balance, I guess.
Okay.
Of, I need to rest.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that like spills over into feeling like you need to be productive all the time and, you know, take advantage of every opportunity and potential and not miss out on things. And to where it gets to the point where you're burning yourself out and you're tired and just need to
chill. Then you really have to rest because you're tired
and
now.
you're forced to rest.
Yeah.
Which, working, definitely have felt that. So I think I've learned to, definitely still working through it, but like learning to recognize of like, okay, this isn't sustainable, or, you know, how do I look at things of prioritizing what taking care of myself looks like, knowing that like it doesn't need to always be an active process. Like
interesting. Yeah.
Passive, like just, resting is okay. You don't need to feel guilty about that.
Resting is a skill that you've had to develop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I have not traditionally been good at resting and not being busy.
Nope.
So, I think it's not until I feel so tired and exhausted and like feel the effects of my body and performance or mindset that I'm like, okay, how do we find that balance? And we're still finding it.
And we're still working on where that
I think
balance
I'm figuring
is.
it out though.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Yeah? How so?
I think it's, you know, I have my own business now where I have the freedom to make my own schedule and really just make what I want out of my career, which is, I'm very fortunate to, just have that. And I think same type of approach of like, okay, and I feel like, you know, being a business owner, entrepreneur, doing something that's out of the traditional path of things, the grind and hustle is like very much ingrained in that. And like, you got to keep going if you're going to survive. And so I think, you know, I've definitely gotten to that point of overworking or like kind of feeling in like that scarcity mindset of like, what if this all goes away? Or like, what if I get cut? What if I, you know, like, what if this doesn't work out? And so I have to take advantage of every potential opportunity that comes about, even if that is sacrificing, resting or like being able to like just chill at home, or even at times it's like sacrificing my own like exercising, which is not good. And that builds up like mentally, like is not good for me. So I think it's just like I've gotten better at recognizing when that's happening. And I think I'm realizing it's not worth it. The grind of feeling the need to be productive like that all the time and busy all the time it's not sustainable. It's going to spill over into, you know, your performance, even like your performance as a business owner. You know, I'm not going to be my best self with my patients if I'm just spread so thin. And so I think like focusing on that bigger picture is helpful, but you kind of need the reps of experience of like learning that the hard way.
And sometimes you need to, especially early on, it's like, you need to try out those opportunities and you need to say yes to things and all of that. But we can get ourselves in a little bit of a hole sometimes too.
Well, and I think you need to like, as long as you can get out of that hole and not let it spiral. But I do feel like the pendulum does need to swing both ways for you to know what your limit is. To know, okay, well, this, you know, this is what's right for me, not what's right for someone else in my position, or talking about comparing, not comparing to what the other business owner is doing or whatever. Like you gotta, you know, just learning about yourself and what you need is a lifelong process that never ends.
We were talking a little bit earlier about PT school. You knew that you needed movement. You still worked out. You had mentioned earlier that there were maybe some times or some years that you didn't necessarily consider yourself an athlete. When would you say that was? And what kind of led you to not feeling your athlete identity?
Probably like right after PT school. I feel like that transition, like regardless of what industry you're in, of like moving from school into real life is really hard. And I think playing sports and like, you know, going through school, college, grad school, it's like there's always the next step. And it's like, okay, like PT school, now graduate, now getting a job. Okay, now I got a job. Now I'm just in the job. Like, I feel like, I don't know, in some ways that transition was harder for me. I don't have this like process of improvement that's thrust upon me anymore. So I guess like in that sense, considering yourself an athlete, I feel like that mindset was lost for a bit. Or I was like still active and working out, but just the need for like learning and improving and challenging myself like wasn't there. You know, like my job was fine. You know, like I learned stuff, but I feel like, you know, you kind of get to the plateau of like, you know, I felt like I was spinning my wheels and just not
doing
really
the same thing.
I'm just going through the motions and kind of like losing the passion for it a little bit, which like led me to start my business. But I felt like I didn't have something that I was like working towards anymore. That was hard. And I think that then I signed up for a triathlon.
As we tend to do.
Then I was like, okay, like this is something that I like, have to work towards.
Hold up, my athlete identity faded for a second. I really need to come back in strong.
I feel like it was just like the process of like working towards something again. Like I never swam. I don't know. I was like, whatever.
How many years was that? So graduate from PT school, start working. How many years until you signed up for that first triathlon?
A year.
You guys don't worry. She did not let that athlete identity go for too long. So not like 10 years like me over here. Okay, that's good to know. Glad you got that figured out much earlier. Amazing. Do you think there's a piece of the transition from student to professional being more difficult for you than kind of undergraduate to graduate, or in your situation, student athlete to just student?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that then the transition from student to professional was harder for you because that now also was the first time you were stepping away from the school?
Yeah.
That even though you weren't still playing the sport during graduate school, you were known as playing soccer at WashU? And we're still kind of around campus / close to where if you went over to the athletic department, you were, I'm assuming, still recognized.
Yeah.
There were still people there that worked there that knew that you played.
Right.
That knew you were a collegiate soccer player.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't thought about it that way for sure. But I mean, definitely that transition was harder than I feel like any of the others. Yeah. It being in that environment for 7 years in St. Louis.
And again, I think you probably didn't feel it at the time necessarily, but I've noticed about myself too that it's just external validation feels good.
Oh yeah.
Even for people that don't necessarily want the spotlight. It's not an attention seeking or an attention getting moment. But especially for those people that lead by example, for those people that have always gotten acknowledgement or always been praised for their actions on said field, court, rink, arena, being able to just walk back on campus and have people know that information about you, know that, oh, yeah, you played soccer here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like, external validation is, like, totally comes from sports.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to where it's like you want your coach to recognize when you're doing well, and like you want positive feedback, and you're like working for that feedback. Yep. And then even in school, it's like you have objective feedback like that.
Yep.
You're working for this grade. You're working for something like very external, objective for you. I think like in that sense of transitioning into just working, that, I mean, yeah, you have like your performance review, whatever. It's not the same.
You're like, come on, somebody tell me how I just did today.
Yeah, right. And then you go and then like no one gives a shit.
I ran all the plays correctly. Come on.
Right.
Acknowledge the fact that I just scored.
Right. Yeah. But you don't get that
in
working.
Yeah.
Like just recognition, which I think, I don't know, maybe some industries are better. I feel like healthcare, that's maybe a common gripe, but I think that's definitely part of it.
Again, I'm doing the comparison thing, but I feel like had I played and then continued at the same school, even when we go back for alumni weekends now, there's that little dopamine hit, that little endorphin hit, where it's just like, oh, yeah, I've known just by walking in.
Yeah. Like, my picture's on the wall.
I
signed the locker room.
I can point to that national championship banner.
Yeah, you can.
And so it's just one of those where I just wonder for you, hearing you say that student to professional transition was so much harder.
Yeah.
Again, like you said, that's your senior year of undergrad kind of forced you to do the grieving. And I have found, through my reflection of my transition and how I very wrongly kind of forced myself into that hard cutoff of my athlete identity. It's just interesting kind of thinking that staying in that same kind of space, staying in...
Yeah, I mean, because everything was familiar to me. Like, I ran around the same park, Forest Park, and like, the athletic complex. Yeah, we're on a different campus, but like, I guess the routine that I had created my senior year was like, it was the same. To where it's
you were prepping for post sports life.
Yeah,
post collegiate life.
Right.
You kind of were developing those skills.
Yeah. Kind of the environment was the same. It's like I think it wasn't such like a big shock to the system because I was already comfortable there. And I had been kind of prepping what routine looks like after playing soccer. And to where I do feel like kind of the transition into PT school was good and like pretty smooth.
You were ready kind of for that next challenge.
Yeah.
But I think too, when you were saying earlier that you grieved it, and even though it was kind of a forced grieving, that's kind of where my brain's gotten to. Again, I don't know how much it would have changed for me, you know.
Yeah.
You can't go back and change the past, but that language of grieving it and just kind of accepting that it's going to suck, accepting that you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
I heard an interview and they were asking Megan Rapinoe prior to her retirement from soccer. Okay, Sue Bird has been, had retired even a year before.
Yeah.
And so she was asking, like, what advice has Sue given you? And Megan Rapinoe had said, she was like, she told me to just accept that you're going to need to grieve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, accept that you're going to be sad. Again, not that you need to accept it right away, but just like
expecting it.
Yeah.
Expect
of like,
you gotta
to
feel
grieve.
Your feelings.
Allow yourself to grieve.
Yeah.
You have feelings and it's okay to have them. Where I just hearing that and now starting to hear about it talked more and all those pieces. Again, yours was kind of forced through a very significant injury. But it does make me wonder if I had gotten that type of messaging kind of leading up to that transition out, would I have allowed myself to just feel sad about it, but then also kind of work through it at the same time?
Yeah.
Versus, in my opinion, what is sometimes a very typical athlete response to things. Oh, we just leave that at the door. We're just going to be over here focusing on practicing, which again, very necessary and can create a wonderful kind of self-regulation, managing when things are super stressful. It can create stress relief. On the other hand, it also makes you really good at compartmentalizing and you're just like, yep, that stuff goes over there. I'm over here.
Well, yeah, if you're just going to pretend all the feelings don't exist and then they're just going to hang out down there and fester. Then they just
don't exist.
And then bull until they do exist and then like blow up on you.
Correct. Hi, welcome to my podcast. Has that happened for you?
I feel like not in soccer. I don't know, probably just life in general and
the pushing emotions away until they let you know they're there a little more forcefully than you want
fine.
Them. Yeah. Of course. Everything is fine. I'm fine. You're
it's
fine.
It's like that dog in the fire. You know that meme?
Yep. Yep.
I'm fine.
Amazing. Yeah. Did it feel like you were grieving at the time that it was happening, or is this more language that you've put to it since?
I think the latter.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. What did it feel like? Like when you think back on it, what did you feel? You were on the team still.
Mm-hmm.
You were there for your senior year. You knew it was your senior year. You're around your team.
Yeah.
Your team that gets to keep playing. Andrew said they were having a pretty successful season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
what were you feeling?
I think I was honestly like, I feel like I tried initially of just like being engaged, but I think I mean, I kind of checked out like and just was kind of numb to it. I don't know. I didn't know how to be engaged with it anymore because again, like the way that I had been engaged, I couldn't do it.
You couldn't lead by example anymore.
Right. And I think
you knew you weren't going to be able to get back out there and contribute or play.
So I kind of just, I don't know, I definitely like withdrew a little bit.
Yeah.
And just into like, okay, well, again, like what am I going to focus on? I'm just going to focus on me and what I can rehab. And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of like, I really wanted to be there, but I like couldn't be there mentally. I was just, yeah. And like looking back, like kind of feel like a shitty teammate about it, you know, and I was there and like, again, like supported, but
you were physically there.
Yeah, I was there. You were for physically all the games, showing up, and like, yeah, I was there for every game, every practice. Just like doing some stuff on my own, but like I was there constantly, just like on the side, you know, trying to like give advice and everything as best I could. I wasn't like the most vocal person or just like, you know, giving like speeches and stuff. That wasn't your
natural.
No, it's like I would motivate people on the field and like making a good play and supporting people while they're playing. And so I think like being on the sidelines was hard. And I think, I mean, I just kind of checked out and I'm just kind of waiting for this to be over, which sucked.
That sucks.
I feel like I kind of left with a bad taste in my mouth, I guess. I just loved playing. And I had like an amazing experience overall, but it just, I don't know.
Thinking back on it and just who you are now and the things that you're doing now and all of that, do you feel like it's wild that you didn't take your 5th year? What you would do if you had that decision to make now?
Yeah. I think I wouldn't have done it differently.
Yeah.
I think I mean, maybe had I known sooner that it was an option.
Okay.
Again, like kind of having like that light at the end of the tunnel in a way, or just like something looking forward to then motivate me. Then maybe it would have been different. But I don't know. I mean, I do think it would have been really challenging doing that during PT school.
Absolutely.
But maybe if situation were different, or like if I known
or
sooner.
If you were planning to take a gap year or something to where you just take a couple course
but
credits,
it was kind of like I didn't know that was an option, so I was jamming to get all of like my classes in and applications. I didn't even know I was going to be going to WashU until like very late in the spring. And so I think looking back with how things played out and like the information that I knew at the time, I don't have any regrets about not doing it.
Speaking to athlete Jen now, because she's a badass. She just recovered very beautifully from her 3rd ACL tear in her 30s.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And sorry, people. She just recently recovered from her 3rd ACL tear in her 30s, beautifully rehabbed it, if I do say so myself, and just finished where exactly you were in Nepal on a hike that took you how many hours?
Well, it was like 2 weeks straight.
Uh-huh.
And it was like over 100 miles.
Yeah.
To Everest Base Camp.
Of course.
A whole loop up in the mountains at like 17,000 feet. And I mean, like my knee felt great. Like other people's knees were hurting more. And I was like, yes, we did it.
We did it. Who were you proving that to?
Me, for sure. I mean, like this trip was planned. I committed to it like 2 months after my surgery.
That's right.
And I did it.
Gave you something to be working towards, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I think at this point around, it's like I was thinking about that, but it's more like my life and lifestyle that has been more motivating. Yeah. And I didn't doubt myself that I'd be able to go and do it. Totally. I think just because I knew what I had to do. And I'm like, I'm a pro at this by now. It was a year and a month after my surgery that I went and hiked a ton and saw some pretty cool things. And, that's definitely like one of the harder things I feel like I've ever done.
Yeah.
Just mentally, like physically it was tiring, but it just was definitely like a roller coaster of emotions of you're hiking like 6 to 12 miles a day after day. You're getting more and more tired and you're getting higher and higher up in elevation. So like your body doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And, you don't sleep good and you feel sick and kind of go through doubting yourself of like, what am I doing out here?
Why did I say yes to this?
What am I doing?
Yep.
And, it's like altitude sickness is no joke. I was fortunately fine, but like,
Yeah.
you know, see other people struggling and people getting evacuated out every day. And
really,
yeah.
that's a mental beast.
Yeah. And so then I think like I started feeling bad, I guess like 5 or 6 days in. And at that point, we still had 5 more days like up high before we start going down.
Yeah.
And that just like felt so far away. Yeah. I mean, it was just kind of like that was another, I think, challenge of like learning what your limits are because you had to be so in tune with your body of like, okay, all I'm focusing on is eating things that aren't going to mess up my stomach, going to bed and drinking water. And that's all, you know, you don't have the other distractions of life when you're out there and you're just focusing on getting through this physically and mentally challenging endeavor.
Yeah. So do you like to push yourself or
no? You got that from all this?
Yeah. If I had to summarize,
I think I've learned to like being uncomfortable. I know, you know, within sports and like injuries and like just other challenges in life, I know that like when something is hard, I'm going to learn something from it and learn something about myself. That's, again, I think like the process from my injury at the very beginning of like, that's what I feel like has been consistent across my life that I've held on to because that's what's fun for me.
Yeah.
As like...
that's what she enjoys, people.
Yeah. I think that's like the process that has become addicting of, okay, well, that was really hard, but we did it. And I proved to myself that I could do it. And that's cool. So now, like, what's the next thing that is going to be really hard that I'm going to prove something to myself until you get hurt and then you get brought back to, and then you know, ski something dumb and hurt yourself. And,
and then you just, you know, rehab it back up.
Yeah, then you just
here
like,
she is.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend we don't go through that again just to prove it to ourselves, but you did it. So we'll take that. Yeah. You like to challenge yourself physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think that comes from?
I think there is a part of it, like what we were talking about before, of external validation, perfectionism pieces of it. But I think it's like not that I like need to be perfect or the best for other people, but more like as a tool of me and feeling good about myself. Like I've learned that, you know, as I've grown up and I mean, I guess sports and just like the challenges and like what I learned from them. And I think about like these injuries and like what I've learned from each of them. I've learned something different from each of them. Of the first one, just I think like that process of like how much I enjoyed that definitely like planted PT into my mind as a career. I think like we talked about, like gave me the tools of working on something that is consistent across other aspects of life.
It's something for you that you're contributing.
Right. And then, the second one, confirming I wanted to go to PT school. It was a different rehab experience. Yeah, kind of more sad. Like going through just the grieving process of things and not having the motivation after it.
You weren't having to push yourself to get your body or yourself ready to contribute to your team.
Right.
You were pushing
yourself. So it was like kind of learning what else is within me. And then, I think like this third time I do kind of like think about what I've learned from these, like in terms of my career also. And, I do feel like this third time like really brought me closer to my career and my business and like my patience. And I think just like reinforced I'm not doing this again. I have to like keep myself strong. It also kind of like reinvigorated, I think, my passion for the process, and like that's spilled over into like how I treat my patients now.
Absolutely.
I forget what the question was originally.
No, that was great. No, you totally answered it. I think you're exactly right. And through your history of injury and rehab and owning your own practice as a badass physical therapist and doing all your things, it's like, yeah, you are that athlete still. It kind of is filtered in through everything that you have done, everything that you're doing. And it's powerful to me to see you and watch you. And I see you crushing it all the time. And I love that about you. And I love that for you. Just because I know that there have been a lot of pieces, you know? There have been a lot of pieces. There's been a lot of bumps for you. But yeah, you're taking all those lessons that you've learned from each piece, and it's you, you know?
Yeah.
It's just purely you.
Yeah.
So I love that you acknowledge the athlete is still there because you are.
Yeah.
And you're also just a freaking beast and have literally crushed this rehab too. So proud of you. Thanks for being on my podcast.
Of course.
I love this. It was so good talking to you.
Fun.
If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review. You taking that 5 minutes makes a huge difference and helps us to be able to make more episodes like this. And if you want to see more content in between the episodes, follow us at NoFormerAthlete on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm so glad you're a part of this No Former Athlete community. And if you know any No Former Athletes that you think I should get in touch with, DM me on Instagram at NoFormerAthlete. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.